Hello and welcome to the Real Drunk Show. Today's episode is Bubble Ball. Is it worth it? So, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, the Real Drunk Show is where we come together regularly to talk culture, theology, and social justice stuff over good, strong drinks with friends. So, thank you for joining us. Each week, this is a live stream that then turns into a podcast. So thank you for joining us on Facebook or YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, and all the other podcast apps where you can find us. Today, joining us are Connie and Dawn. Hey.
Hey.
These are two of the women I know who know more about basketball than anybody else in the world. So,
Do we?
Right. They are here to talk about this bubble and all that's going on in the bubble. It's a lot going on in the bubble right now.
A lot. Yes.
So let's start with introductions. Dawn, do you want to go first since it's your first time joining us for the Real Drunk Show?
I guess. I don't have a whole lot to say,
Just tell us name, where you are,
Okay.
what you do, and what you're drinking.
I'm drinking. Okay, I can do that. Of course, my name is Dawn Montgomery. It says it right there. I am in Smyrna right now, currently displaced, but we'll talk about that later. What I do, the founder and CEO of fansfavoritefan.com, a sports media company that started out as a sports blog. And in the climate of things right now, we have not really been posting because it just, to me, in general, it just doesn't feel right. I'm still not comfortable about what we're dealing with around America right now. So I just don't feel comfortable talking about sports. And then two, we'll talk about this later as well. I just don't feel like we should be having sports. So I am currently finishing up this Prosecco that I had with some orange juice. So I guess a neighborhood mimosa.
Yes, you should pour a little bit of bourbon in your mimosa. Connie was with us when we discovered this little trick. A little bit of bourbon. It was fun. So every now and then I get people together for brunch at my house. And by that time, we were a couple of mimosas in. So we were already good and drunk. And Victor grabbed the mimosa container and just started pouring bourbon in it. And we were like, what are you doing?
Right.
And that was one for the books.
Yes, it was.
So that is free game for you good people.
Right.
Connie, welcome back.
Hi, Kia. Hey, Dawn. Hey, y'all. How you doing? So Connie Chameleon 2 on Twitter, Connie Chameleon on Instagram.
Free Connie Chameleon 1.
Free Connie Chameleon 1. Twitter is a hater. Okay. I'm drinking mimosa in my cup that my friend made. And what do I work in media? I also work with Fans Favorite Fan. I write as well. And I love basketball. And I am looking forward to July 30th when the season restarts. So, yeah.
So, I'm trying to think of a way to say this that doesn't put people off. But first of all, let me just ask this question. What is the bubble? Tell us about the bubble.
You want to go now?
Basically, the bubble is what the league put together and said this many people are invited by each player. This many people from different media outlets can attend, and they're all in one place. Basically, like I know for the WNBA, it's IMG near IMG Academy is where they're going to actually play. But they're also staying in like resort hotels or surrounding this area. And so the WNBA players and their families, as well as media, are in Bradenton, Florida. And the NBA is in Orlando, Florida. So that's basically what the bubble is. If you've been invited to be in the bubble, you can be in the bubble, but you cannot go out of the bubble. There are certain like you can't even go to like a certain feat outside of the bubble without them saying, okay, you violated, some of the rules of the bubble and you're going to have to be in quarantine for like 7 to 14 days. Like they're very serious about this and it's supposed to protect everyone, but we'll discuss that.
So, first of all,
I
appreciate thank you for joining us. If you're watching, you can jump in the conversation by posting your comments on either Facebook or YouTube, and we can pull them into the conversation. So, here's the thing. There's this bubble that's supposed to protect them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
7, I believe the last I read, 7 WNBA players have already tested positive for
already.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, this bubble is in Florida, which is the epicenter of the world for COVID. So if COVID were to get into this bubble,
mm-hmm.
which it probably will,
mm-hmm.
which it probably already
based on how our understanding of the virus and our ability to test in a timely fashion and to practice the prevention measures, like our inability to practice the prevention measures, I should say. What happens if someone gets sick and they have to go to a hospital in Florida, a state that it has the highest number of COVID cases, the highest number of hospitalization? Like, how do they get care? And how do they get care without jeopardizing the citizens of Florida's care in a medical center that's already overrun?
I think, me personally, I think they're doing this and playing it by ear. I mean, if you look at what happened with the NBA, it took the NBA to say, okay, we've got a player that tested positive, so we're shutting the whole league down. And then everybody follows suit. So in a sense, they have protocol, they have certain things that they have in place. But honestly, if we're going to be real, you have a whole team that ends up catching COVID after a game, right? Where are you going to take that whole team? Because I'm telling you now that there are no nearby hospitals that will be able to help them through that. Based on the numbers spiking in Florida and how they're running out of beds and equipment.
My first question is why I don't recall reading why Adam picked Florida. Is it because of their Disney connection?
I think so, yeah, because I think it started where they wanted to do it at Disney World of Sports. And I don't know if any of y'all have heard of that or been there. I've got a chance to go there maybe about 2 years ago on behalf of the Atlanta Voice newspaper here. And they invited all Black media out to come and see their new facilities, some new things that they were doing there. But I've never been there. I didn't realize how big Disney World of Sports actually is. It's huge. And, it would have made sense if they would have chosen that or if they would have done that or have gone there or whatever. But in my opinion, it's just like, you just up and you just pick a place on the map and you say, everybody coming to Florida. Why?
Right. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me to have it in Florida. It doesn't make sense.
So why was it necessary for us to have an NBA season? Is this about the economics of the NBA, WNBA? Or is this about us as consumers needing some form of entertainment? Like, why not say, you know what? This is crazy out here. We are going to protect our players in the best way we know how, and we will see y'all in 2021.
I think it's a mixture. I think, money, but it's a mixture of things. It's the money. Then it's us as consumers being selfish. I mean, that's what it is. It's us being selfish. And then also, but the players want to play. They want to finish out the season. You have, the Lakers. I mean, they were the number one, right, team. They want their championship. They want to continue playing. So I think it's just a mixture of things, but of course you follow the money,
Dawn, you mentioned that you don't think they should be playing. You want to say more about that?
They shouldn't be playing. And let me correct something I said earlier, because mind you, I'm on my third drink. They are, Look, this is already getting interesting. And we ain't even been on here for a good 10 minutes. Anyway, they are at Walt Disney World of Sports. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So let me correct before somebody find me on Twitter and be like, she don't know what she's talking about. Listen, I've been drinking. Okay. Vardy said this. Thank you. Okay. So, but no, they shouldn't be playing. So these are professional athletes.
Mm-hmm.
All of them except for I'm single-handedly talking about the NBA because we know now that the WNBA players are now starting to get paid their worth. So they're now coming into money. I'm not saying that none of the WNBA players aren't smart enough to save their money. I'm just saying they're not paid equally to what the NBA players are being paid, okay? So I'm going to leave them out of this conversation right here. For the NBA players in general, like, y'all got enough money. Honestly, even if you really want to play ball, you've got enough money to play ball at home. Or you've got enough money. You've got a court at home. You've got access to a court. You can do whatever it is that you need to do, but you're a professional athlete. This comes down to them having professional sports and playing professional sports. And then you have the amateur sports leagues or conferences in our college basketball conferences that are now looking at, well, we're going to play too. Because if they're playing, we can play too. But the thing about it is you're not paying players to sacrifice their health and their safety, as well as staff or any other media members.
That part. So that is what has bothered me about sports, because you're putting lives, and let's be honest, a large percent of these lives are Black lives on the line.
There we go.
To profit off of them for the most part. Because
but these are grown men, right? So they make the decision on whether they want to play. And if these grown men say, I want to play, then what is they want to play? So let's play. They know, the risk, the liability, and this is a chance that the risk that you're willing to make. You think that the reward, an NBA title, is greater than the risk.
And see, here's the thing. Even with that, if somebody wins a title throughout this league, right, and what they're playing, it needs to have an asterisk, because to me, it doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't even count. I'm sorry, because you didn't have everybody playing, because you also have to remember there are players who aren't showing up or who aren't playing, who don't want to play. And the thing about it is if you don't have everybody participating, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Like, it's just like this. To me, this is a glorified summer league. That's what it is. And they're allowing them to all be in one place versus everybody going to different places, or even everybody going to Vegas where they normally play summer league ball. Which to me, you play ball over here. Why didn't y'all decide to go to Vegas and say, we're going to play the league over here versus coming to Florida, where if the cases keep going up and you keep having players test positive, it's going to pop the bubble in both.
To be honest, I don't even think we're going to get through the 2 months, because I think someone is going to catch COVID in the bubble and it's going to be over.
Right.
So we're not going to make it.
So I have a question, because one thing that kind of gets overlooked in the craziness that has been our March through July is that the NBA is the reason that America took COVID seriously.
Right.
It was, I remember that week. So I went to the emergency room the end of Florida, and I was aware of COVID at that time, because I was like, here you are in the freaking emergency room trying to make sure that you're going to live, but you're going to catch COVID and die while you're in the emergency room. So I was aware at the end of Florida, but we were still going to work and everything. And I remember that first week of March, maybe March 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere around there. I think it was that Wednesday night. The NBA shut down the game, and I went to work the next day, and I was like, y'all, if they're pressing pause on capitalism, something has happened.
Right.
I say that to say, do you think the NBA is still taking it as seriously as they did in that moment? Or do you think that they've gotten lackadaisical? Like,
I mean, they have a 100-page rule book on the bubble, right? So I think that they are taking it seriously. I think they are being forward thinking They're setting the tone and setting the example. The NFL should be following what the NBA is doing. When you get to Florida, you have to be in your hotel room for 48 hours. You have to have 2 negative tests, and they are constantly testing. So they're taking it very seriously. I mean, they have the hotline to call on, to snitch on people, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Wait, I didn't know this. There's a snitch hotline?
Yes. And people have already been called on. Dwight Howard, they said he wasn't wearing his mask, and other players. But yeah.
Don't
we know that Dwight Howard doesn't like using protection?
This is true.
You about
he has like a basketball team? Yes.
So yes, my Dwight Howard ended up at one of my kids when my kid was in high school at one of their football games, and those kids bullied Dwight Howard over something. And
oh my god,
like no one is safe from high school bullying
at all. But I think the NBA is taking it very, very seriously, because I think once COVID penetrates the bubble, it's a wrap. And I think penetrates. I think Adam Silver said that it's a wrap.
Okay, so my thing is, I think they're not taking it seriously. I think it's a matter of we're trying to finish 8 games. Isn't it like 8 games, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, trying to finish out the season. Just so we can say we did it, collect this money, send everybody home, and pray everybody good. But the thing about it is you've got 25 players out of 351 that have already tested positive since last week.
Wait, say that again?
25 players out of 351 players have tested positive since last week.
Okay.
But they're not. Are these in the bubble?
Some are in the bubble. Some are not.
So I know, Connie, you mentioned that the players wanted to play, but Washington Mystics, WNBA, MVP, what is her name? Elena? Am I pronouncing it right? Because I'm
Elena.
Yeah. Okay. So she has said that, she is concerned. She has Lyme disease. It's some medical complication. She's been suffering from post-traumatic complications of Lyme disease for 10 years. She said she takes 64 pills a day.
Yes.
25 before breakfast, 20 after breakfast, 10 before dinner, and 9 before bed. And she is concerned about her health. Her doctors have told her that she shouldn't play, but NBA, WNBA doctors have told her that she does not get a medical exemption.
Well, they reversed it. I thought that just yesterday they said she could sit out and still get paid.
Oh, I think that was her team organization that said that. I could be wrong, but the last thing I saw was the Washington Mystics said they would still put her on the roster. They're still going to pay her, but they do not expect her to show up to play.
So, and what I saw was that was around rehabilitation for back surgery that she had. Yeah. So it's not even around the Lyme disease. So, and that just, what do you do with that? Because what we've been seeing, even from our frontline workers, is we expect workers to sacrifice their lives for our conveniences, for our entertainment. When we're talking college sports, we're expecting these students to put their bodies on the line for free for our entertainment. And how do we fix this? Is it possible that we can fix this, or is this just who we are as a country and a culture and society?
Well, I mean, this is who we are, but when it comes to the WNBA, the players aren't respected anyway. I hate to say that. They're not respected, period. So they make less, a WNBA player making $100,000 a year is disgusting to me, So they're in a predicament. It's like, do I not play and not make money? I'm not making that much anyway. I want the WNBA to do better by their players and respect them. We can start there.
But yeah, but she could have been the case study. You know what I'm saying? She's like the past reigning MVP. Like, to me, in that moment, I wouldn't have cared if you showed favoritism towards her because of what her situation is. But here's the thing: you had players who were playing while they were pregnant last year. You know what I'm saying? She went through a lot, physically, mentally, and I'm pretty sure financially, because she probably had medical health care that she had to do that she probably couldn't even process or even go through the league itself or go to the league doctors itself to get treated for. So here's the thing. You know, they want to always say, you know, the WNBA isn't worth this or that, or that the women aren't playing ball like the guys. But honestly, like, the WNBA is a part of the NBA. So why is it equal? It's supposed to be a level playing field. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So in this moment, they could have shown her some type of grace, hell, favor, if you want to call it, because of her disease. And the fact that she really came to them and was like, look, I have this condition. I have blah, blah, blah. You have like a handful of players that aren't playing in the NBA, and they didn't come to them with no list of things.
They were like, okay, you don't have to play.
They just said, we don't want to play. We're not putting no away. And that's it is what it is. So, okay, cool. Because wait a minute, it's a team that don't even have its whole team in the bubble. Quiet as it's kept. I think they got enough. Is it the Nets? Like maybe 3 or 4 substitutions. I can't remember. Is it the Nets? It ain't the Nets.
Is it Brooklyn?
Hold on. Because wait.
Let me do the Googles.
Okay. Wait, wasn't Brooklyn the team who had like an outbreak among their players? Like a couple of players tested positive? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
This is also interesting because I deeply want us to be better than choosing money over people. But
wait, okay, so from the Google. The Brooklyn Nets suffer another setback. Player leaves Orlando bubble after testing positive for COVID. And that was a day ago.
I have questions that y'all probably can't answer. Like, how big is this bubble? Like, how are they sanitizing this bubble? How are they protecting the workers who are staffing this bubble? Because, like, we talk about the players who have all this, NBA players, let me be clear, who have this money and have great health insurance and stuff. But what about the staff in the bubble?
I don't know how they're treated.
No, there are no stories really.
We don't know anything about that.
I haven't. And if I'm wrong, you know, if I'm actually following a couple of NBA writers that have written it, it hasn't stood out to me to where it says, like, because I think majority of the stories that's coming out is stuff like the snitch hotline or that one girl who jumped on Twitter and quote unquote said she was invited to the bubble. Okay, good luck with that.
I saw that.
Wait. Let's talk about that, Dawn. Who jumped on Twitter and said they were invited?
I gotta find her name. Honestly, I don't even really want to find her because I feel like she did that for some clout. It was cute. But the thing about it is, you know, people were trying to figure out what player invited her, who was it, and blah blah blah, and she wasn't really saying anything. And to me, it's like, if you're gonna do what you're gonna do, go ahead. Like,
go all out.
Like, because if he wants you, he wants you. You know what I'm saying? Good luck with that. But shut up.
That was my next question. Like, are the NBA groupies getting in the bubble? And I don't know.
No.
I was reading a story about Candace Parker, who brought her 12-year-old daughter in the bubble. She seems pretty optimistic about it all. And it's like, of course, people are going to test positive. That's the nature of the virus. But, you know, we're here. I think they can bring their kids and a caregiver with them. So, like, is there sex in the bubble? Like, how do you do that if, like, you're not?
Her name is @ugly_Anna.
Okay, ugly Anna.
I already lost me at the ugly part, but okay. But you know, she has the cleavage, you know, showing. She looks like she working with a little something, and you know, her next tweet was like, wow, y'all gonna get me uninvited now. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, you did this just to get the retweets and the attention. And if you really think about it, these players are trying to figure out how to get some pussy through the bubble. Now, we're gonna call it what we're gonna call it. And quiet as it's kept, some of them probably want some dick too. So, look, y'all, I'm still.
Okay.
I told y'all, I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. They're supposed to be at home. They need to be with their family.
They need to stroke their meat. They need
Oh my God.
What are they doing?
I know, right? I'm running low.
This is a refill. But I mean, it's, you know, and because that's something else to think about. Because think about us as fans. When last time y'all had some? Like,
right? The water dry.
Every time I get ready to risk it all in the midst of COVID, some other news story breaks. And like I said, I have trust issues. I don't trust you enough to make the right decisions when you're going to Publix to pick up groceries. So, which
he's not wearing a mask, will he wear a, you know?
Like, where were you 2 weeks before you came here? Like,
exactly.
Like, look, I have a question there. You're gonna have to answer. So, you know, imagine if you're a pro player who you're used to just getting what you want. Like, you used to go into the club, picking somebody out, or hell, you got different hoes and different area codes. You know what I'm saying? But it's not gonna be that. It's not gonna be possible. I don't see it.
That's why they're having such a hard time. And I think that's why people have violated the rules, because they're so used to getting what they want, right? And doing what they want to do and coming and going.
Right.
Privileged people don't know how to be restricted.
Come on.
They have a problem with restriction. So good luck, everybody. That's all.
So tell me this, because I can't remember the player's name, but he posted the picture of the hotel room and was like,
Rondo. That was Rondo.
Hotel room. And I was like, that's a nice hotel room.
Like, I would not be complaining about that room.
Like, let me tell you how God works, though, because Rondo has a broken thumb, so he had surgery, so he's out the bubble anyway. So you can go home. While you complaining about staying in a Motel 8, that's really a Motel 85. Like
look, my second thought was also I had a couple of thoughts. My first was, that's a nice hotel room. My second was, you deserve to slum it, quote unquote, slum it, because, like, welcome to reality, sir.
Right.
Third, I was like, that is why I always book my hotel rooms myself when I travel for work, and I don't let the admins book my hotel rooms, because they will never pick a hotel room up to my standards.
Right.
But they're all staying in designated hotels, like on
right. So
you don't have a choice. You know, it just comes off like, should they have been left behind because they don't know how to read the room? You know, like,
I mean,
read the room, please. Like, you are still staying in nice accommodations. You guys have, personal chefs.
But they food terrible, though. Come on now. Like, hear me out. And when Buddy went off to the gate of the resort, the hotel resort or something, he went out to go get his Postmates because they wouldn't let them in to bring the food delivery. He went out, and all he did was step out to go get his food, and they said, "Oh, violation! You got to go in quarantine immediately." Like, so where are they going to get decent food? Because you also have to remember, these are professional athletes. They eat a certain way every single day. And even if they have chefs that are working in the bubble, from what I'm looking at, that is not in comparison to some of the food that most of these players are used to eating on a consistent basis. It's really glorified hospital food if we're going to be real.
Yes, and it's not even Panera Bread hospital food. There are two things that I splurge on. That's hotel rooms and food. Yep. So, like, the hotel room, that meets my standard. The food, I was like, oh, baby, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Ash said, I bet their wives are at ease this season.
Listen, I'm sure they are happy.
Like, the wives are like bubble every season.
Oh my gosh, I don't have to work so hard. My knees can get some rest.
Well, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. They should be playing. And then you gotta look at who owns these companies, who actually owns the league, who owns Disney. Because Disney owns ESPN. So you start trickling up that little tree to find out who's at the top, then it's like, oh, this why y'all playing. This why you making sure you get your money. Because honestly, this is where you get the fans who come in and they're more, I'm not even gonna call them MAGA fans, because think about it. If you're continuing the league after just taking a few months break, I would be like, if I ain't have no common sense, number one. Number two, no post-secondary education, baby. I'm sorry. You gotta really be thinking. I would literally be like, oh, well, if the NBA playing, we can go outside. We all right. You know what I'm saying? As long as I just wear my mask and I just do what I do, and wash my hands, then everything is fine. Where no, you got people that's testing positive in their own house and everybody else is negative and they don't know where it came from.
So you think it's the leagues? They should be responsible for us being stupid? I don't.
Not being stupid. It's more like, I feel like in a sense where you have these fans that are like, well, if the league is playing, then I can go out here and go do whatever. I feel like it gives them that cause. You get what I'm saying? Where it's like that cause and effect.
Because I mean, we just said that when the NBA shut down, it made all of us say, "Oh shit, this is real." So the fact that the NBA is going back to the game, even with all the precautions, does that? I feel like leadership.
But there are no fans. There are no.
Yeah, but you still got to think about it from that angle of where you have these fans that are saying those things. And then, I mean, you got to look at NASCAR. NASCAR just NASCAR. And we saw that thanks to Alvin Kamara, of course, because he's a new fan of the sport. And, they're figuring out how to do their thing and they're outside, and that's fine. But that makes you look at the NFL now, because the NFL can't say, we can't really have a season or whatever, because most of their stadiums are outside. But then it's like, how can you make sure that everybody in this stadium wears their mask consistently or is socially distancing? Like, you can only sell so many tickets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I have decided that I am just going to stay in the house while the world crumbles. And then once it's all over, I'm going to emerge as the leader of the world. And just, that is my plan.
Yeah. It sounds pretty good right now.
Look, right?
It sounds pretty good, legit.
I'm preparing for the administration.
I miss basketball is my safe haven. And I really miss going to State Farm Arena. I miss the experience of a game. And I don't know. I mean, would I be silly enough to risk maybe go to a game or two? I might.
See, and that's the thing about COVID. Like, we were talking on my Twitter timeline about the library, how we love the library. The library is not safe right now. Like, it's communal books, and like that's the last place I would go right now. But everything that's my safe haven has been taken away from me. My brunch, my bars, my workout. Like, there is no place that I can go where I just found escape and comfort right now. So, like,
it's hard. That's why I said I selfishly am looking forward to them playing.
Right.
It's so selfish, but I'm looking forward to it. I haven't had fresh NBA content since March.
Right. And I think that's where I'm, with Fans Favorite Fan, why I haven't pushed a whole lot of content out, because we get a lot of press releases from the leagues, whether it's WNBA, whether it's, like NASCAR or like NFL, the NBA. I'm trying to think of who else. We got Major League Soccer. Like they're still cranking out press releases and content for us to be sharing and stuff like that. But where I'm sitting, I'm like, oh, I don't feel comfortable. Like, like I know it's news and everything, and everybody else is talking about it. But from my perspective, I'm just like, I don't want to say, look, this is what they're doing. Because at every post that I probably do, I'm probably going to have to put a warning thing at the bottom. Like, hey, I'm not telling you to go out here, because here's the thing. And part of that comes from, and Connie, you know this, part of that also comes from being a Black woman who owns a media company. Okay. And I say that because a lot of times Black writers that are in these leagues, they will write something, and then when a fan feels bad about it, or goes out and go do something crazy, they want to come at us to try to sue us or say for the cause. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I was mentioning, somewhat of the cause and the effect, because if you're sharing this content, you're putting this out there, yeah, you should be liable for it. Trust me, you should be. But you will be surprised by the emails that we receive personally about what we posted, what we share, how it changed somebody's mind, or why they want to go and do this. Because we posted something about sports returning. The emails I got from that, I was like, we're going to stop right here. It was just as bad as when we were writing about Kaepernick kneeling at NFL games. It was literally that bad. And I was like, I don't have time to deal with that type of energy if that's you and the content that we share. So to me, I'm a sports fan as well. And kind of, I love football. I live and breathe football. Okay. I just don't think that it's right for them to be playing right now. We can't even protect ourselves, but you expect these players to be around each other and to do the very things that they're supposed to do. Yes, we're grown. We're not kids that are about to be sent to school or be put in a setting or an environment where you can't control kids. But here's the thing. These leagues are really doing this for money. The NCAA is really doing this for money. There's nothing else that they can possibly tell me. I don't care if you had a petition from players that want to play. One of the things I've been paying attention to is these college football teams where they are amateur players, right? They're not being paid, quote unquote, not being paid, right?
Right.
But all of the big Power 5 schools, some of the big names like Alabama and Clemson have had like double-digit reports where it's like 55, 56, 45 here, players testing positive for COVID. Okay. Yeah. So look, I'm a fan and I study this sport consistently. You can't sit up here and tell me that they're not making sure that either one, they're doing the best that they can to keep these boys from getting it. One, two, they're allowing them to get COVID so that when the second round comes, they won't all test positive. Now, how does that sound? That sounds like you don't mind somebody catching a virus that you could want to compare it to the flu, and later on they won't be as sick as they're going to be if it again, or if somebody else contracts it on the team. Now think about that.
And here's the thing about COVID. We don't know enough about this virus. And I'm seeing reports about how people are testing positive a second time where they don't have the antibodies to not catch it again. And it's worse the second time around.
Right.
Sports are very communal. I mean, think about what we see these players do on the field, like just wiping their faces and
in the same place.
It's really yuck when you think about it.
Yes.
And then when you add COVID onto that yuck, like
right. So to me, like if you're the NBA really is the blueprint, because if the NBA can successfully do this and finish out those 8 to 10 games that they want to finish out their season, then guess what? The NC2A is going to be like, boom, college football is going to happen, because guess what? Each conference has already said they're going to play their conference games.
Do they have a bubble? Are they traveling? Like,
I mean, the NFL
about no bubble, because they're going to have to travel.
Yeah.
They're going to have to travel.
Doesn't training camp for the NFL start in 2 days? They have no protocol. They have nothing in place that's going to protect the players. Like Von Miller caught COVID, and he's even saying that even after him, getting well, he still has problems with his lungs.
Right.
So we just don't know enough. Yeah, we don't know enough about the disease and what it does. I mean, these are athletes, right? What it's doing to their body.
And when you think about college players, like they haven't even started their professional careers. So you are putting these amateur athletes' body on the league, athletes who are betting their lives on a professional career so that they can provide for their families largely. And you're asking them to risk COVID.
Look, even
and side effects, long-term side effects. Like we just talked about the WNBA player who's still having effects from Lyme disease 10 years later.
Right.
Well, that could be COVID. And we're asking amateur players to do this for the free ski.
Right.
Roxanne said, so now these student athletes are tested.
Roxanne. That's it. Oh, I'm sorry. That's it, Roxanne. That's it. And that's why I mentioned that, because earlier from us saying about the NBA, and even Connie co-signed on this, and Kia said this, when the NBA stopped, America stopped.
Yeah.
So it's like, now that the NBA has started again, it's like, oh, America's looking out the window like, oh shit, we can go outside.
And the reality is someone has to be the leadership, has to be a leader on this, because we know we can't expect that from our federal from the president, from the White House. And let's be honest, a lot of our governors we can't expect that from, because Brian Kemp has been, I don't even know if it's fumbling the ball. Like Brian Kemp is like sticking a hole in the ball and just like, nope.
Right.
Like he
deflate.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So I mean, and
from the standpoint of leadership, but I think Adam Silver is trying to do it right, or trying to get it right.
And I'll give him that.
I appreciate how he's managing this and how he's handling the situation.
Because he's upfront. He is very upfront. He is very in your face. Like, this is what we got going on. Yes, we've had some test positives come back. This is how we're dealing with it. Blah, blah, blah. And he's moving on. But it's a possibility where if it continues to spread, he's going to draw the line. And he's already said that. But again, it's like, why do we have to get to that line for you to say, we're done?
And I think Adam Silver has always been a standout leader when it comes to professional, especially when we have like a Roger Goodell who has let this whole kneeling thing go on for 4 fucking years. Like, that never should have happened
at all.
Here's me with my public relations background, like, this shouldn't even still be a story. That is a PR failure, if nothing else. And I'm not even speaking to like the leadership and the organizational failures. But yeah, so Adam Sterling has stood out since Dunn Sterling.
Well, Adam Silver. Well, okay, so Queeby, they need to cut me a check, Queeby. So I really love the app and I really love their program. But anyway, so they have a documentary called Blackballed. And it followed the LA Clippers that week of them learning about the Donald Sterling tape in, that week of the playoffs. And so Adam Silver, he was only commissioner for 2 months when that situation happened.
Right.
So to me, that set the tone, I think, of the NBA and going forward, and how he handles uncomfortable things, right? And how he is for the players, and he lets them know that the voices matter and that they're being heard. So I think Adam, there's a lot Roger Goodell can learn from Adam Silver. Transparency, in giving players the opportunity to be themselves.
Right.
But I just really like Adam Silver as the commissioner. I think he's doing a good job.
So speaking of Don Sterling, let's talk about his female counterpart.
Miss
Atlanta Dream co-owner Kelly Loeffler. Kelly Loeffler is co-owner of Atlanta Dreams. Do we know the percentage of it? I don't remember seeing it in what I was reading. I know she's not full owner. There's at least one other owner, but
she's yeah.
So she's also appointed, not elected, senator from Georgia, U.S. senator from Georgia, appointed by our pathetic governor, Brian Kemp. That's the only word I have for him right now. Pathetic,
illegitimate. What
trash? Yes, illegitimate governor.
Illegitimate. Let's keep it there. He was not fairly elected governor of Georgia, and he appointed Kelly Loeffler to be a U.S. senator. So she has come out and said that she does not support Black lives. Now, I do want to be clear about this. In her letter to the commission, the WNBA commissioner, she did say that Black lives do matter, but she feels that the organization Black Lives Matter is dangerous, and that the WNBA should not be supporting it. In her letter, she said the lives of each and every African American matter. And there's no debating the fact that there is no place for racism in our country. However, I adamantly oppose the Black Lives Matter political movement, which has advocated for defunding of police, called for the removal of Jesus from churches, and the disruption of the nuclear family structure, harbored anti-Semitic views, and promoted violence and destruction across the country. I believe it is totally misaligned with the values and goals of the WNBA and the Atlanta Dream, where we support tolerance and inclusion. Oh, interesting. Amid recent unrest in America's cities, this movement advocated the creation of lawless autonomous zones in places like Atlanta and denounced these zones of violence, for which I have been criticized. However, the same group fell silent. Oh, God. Over the 4th of July weekend when an 8-year-old girl was murdered under the mob rule that I warned about days earlier. This is not a political movement that the league should be embracing, and I emphatically oppose it.
So here.
Now, what I will say is the players and the Atlanta Dream have said that they are against what Kelly Loeffler had said. They all signed on to a letter saying they support Black Lives, the Black Lives Matter movement, and they want her not to be owner anymore for the WNBA.
And shouts out to Dream player Renee Montgomery, who is in no relation to me, but I feel like she my distant cousin. What's up? But she's sitting out this season because she is working on social justice reform, similar to what Maya Moore has done. And my God, hand claps to Maya Moore and what she has done on using that platform and what she's continuing to do. But Renee Montgomery put it out there that she wanted to meet up with Kelly so that she could discuss their differences. And my thing is listening to Kia reread all of that. There's two things that stands out to me. One, you say you don't support Black Lives Matter organization. Now, if we're going to be 100, the organization and the movement is somewhat different. I understand when she says she may not support the organization, but what I don't understand is if you say you don't support the movement, okay? So necessarily you are against Black lives in general, okay? So number two, you are co-owner of an Atlanta sports team. Ma'am, you are in the city of blackness. I'm not going to sit up here and say we Wakanda because we ain't. Thank you, T.I. But the point of the matter is, you're not going to say that you somewhat support Black Matters, but Black Lives Matter or what have you, and then you decide that you're going to put it in a bubble. She's putting that in a bubble. Okay, she's saying what she wants to support and what she feels like the organization should do, but she is technically, quote unquote, from what the WNBA commissioner has said and from what the Dream have said, she's not over their day-to-day business affairs. And if that's the case, she shouldn't be having no say-so in nothing. Like, it don't even matter to me. I don't care how much money she put into the team. She need to shut up. And then the very thing that she's upset about the very thing that she is upset about is the fact that these players wanted to put the names of the people that have died during this movement. That's what she's upset about. And when it comes down to that,
come on, Dawn.
You are then telling us that we don't matter. The players, the coaches, the fans, the city residents, the people that you are supposed to be representing in your Senate seat. Bitch, no, we can't do it.
But to me, Kelly shouldn't even be on her because she is a felon. That's just not locked up. You're doing insider trading. You're doing illegal stuff. You should not even be an owner on that alone. So, and then it's like you are Donald Sterling, but your bullshit is just polished, right?
Right.
So you're not on tape calling people the N-word. You're not on tape saying that Black people are less than subhuman and all of these things, but it's still BS, right?
Right.
It's just packaged in a different way. She shouldn't be there. The WNBA is 80% Black women. It's comprised of 80% Black women. You're in a Black city, you're a Black team, and this is the mindset that you
Black mayor, female mayor.
You don't need to be here. And not only does she not want to put, and then she says, well, politics and sports shouldn't, intermix, right? But yet you want
a politician who owns a sports team.
But then you want to put an American flag. She wanted to put an American flag on the jerseys, and an American flag is political in itself.
Right.
So you can't have it both ways.
Right. So to me, it's like, cool if you don't, ma'am, it's cool if you don't want to support Black Lives Matter organization. Okay. Yeah, because that's somewhat different than Black Lives Matter. Okay. The movement. Now, the jerseys are in support of the movement. You don't support the jerseys. You don't support nobody that looks like us. Period. So go ahead and just call yourself a racist because that's what it is.
And then you align yourself. She aligns herself with the bigot that occupies the White House. So, girl, come on.
So here's the thing. Everyone wants to be a good person. And everyone wants to say, of course, Black Lives Matter. Of course, we don't want people murdered in the street the way we watched George Floyd be murdered. But they don't want their politics to align with policies and systemic changes that ensure that Black Lives matter.
Right.
Because here's the reality. You cannot believe that Black Lives matter and support a president like Trump.
Correct.
Thank you.
And what's interesting is I got this email this morning from Popular Information. And they talked about 4 corporations so C3 work is nonprofit organizations. You cannot do any political organizing. However, most corporations and nonprofit organizations who are involved in political work have C4 organizations. C4 organizations are the political arm of these organizations, and they can advocate for a candidate. So there are these C4 organizations. So there are these corporations who came out and said Black Lives Matter. And then their C4 arms are supporting Kelly Loeffler and sending money to her campaign, which are politics that do not align with Black Lives Matter. So you have AT&T who tweeted about Black Lives Matter, but they're giving money to Kelly Loeffler.
Right.
Scientific who did the same. Google is supporting her in her run.
Come on. But let's stop at Google real quick. But Google out in these streets hiring us to help with their diversity programs and startups that look like us. But okay, go ahead. In the city of Atlanta.
And the email said on May 31st. Huh?
It's a performative.
And I do this with Christians a lot. Like, you can't say you love all people and care and your politics not line up with all these people are my neighbor. If your politics are marginalized people and causing harm, then your theology is bullshit.
But see, for a lot of these people, it's a matter of, oh my God, I've got to challenge my upbringing. I've got to challenge who I am. I've got to look in the mirror and realize that because to me, you could be raised like that and you could eventually get older and be like, hey, that ain't the way. You know what I'm saying? And you can go about it and change the direction of where you were headed. But there are a lot of people who don't want to change that direction because they know they got to go home and go visit family, or they know they got to go home and deal with, cousins and people like that. But here's the thing. If you're not willing to stand out and be different from everybody else in your family, how do you think we feel every day walking outside of our houses? Why in some of our houses, we're the only different one. Like, we're different from everybody else. Yeah. So it's like, when you do that, we don't need the performative stuff. We don't need the streets painted with Black Lives Matter. We don't need that, because you're wasting a lot of money in paint, especially paint that could be used on some of these houses in our neighborhoods.
So, here's one. Target CEO Brian Collins says the company stands with Black families, communities, and team members, and will use its size, scale, and resources to address racial injustice. On June 5th, the company's headquarters in Minneapolis featured lights in honor of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and all whose lives were cut short. Right. And to signal the hard work ahead to help healing our communities and creating lasting change. Right. Last month, the company recognized Juneteenth as an official company holiday. Yesterday, Loeffler reported that she received a $1,000 donation from Target on June 30th. The donations were disclosed late Wednesday. The company did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
So who signed the check?
Also on this list, Kroger, Comcast, FedEx.
Somebody had to have sent that out as a joke.
Best Buy. Now,
I can't.
What I would be interested in looking at is if these companies also donated to Democratic candidates, because a lot of times it may be just like playing both sides of the fence. So let me give to everybody. So whoever gets in office, I have some political clout, or I have some. Right. It's because it does not align with your stated values.
That might make sense, but I'm gonna need a Democratic senator or somebody or a candidate to say that they got 5,000 from Target versus 1,000.
You know what? I'm gonna go look at the FEC.
That's not going no Target. You going about
it. Even if they did give to both, like, your giving does not align with your values.
Right.
Your stated values are that Black Lives Matter. So I expect your political endeavors to align with the fact that Black Lives Matter.
Why is that so hard on a corporate level? Why is that so hard on a corporate level? I just, because I take a look at, because we've been supporting a lot of Black businesses here lately. Those of us, I know all three of us, we support Black business anyway. Right. And we consistently talk about that, and we consistently share that, and we consistently put people on. And that's what we're supposed to do. But for the very people that are just now finding out about certain Black owned businesses, some things that I've seen is where they want to support or they are supporting, and I'm talking about our people. They want to support or they are supporting, and then they find out that they support this person or they support that person, or their like values and things don't align. Well, me personally, if you did your research in the beginning, because honestly, I'm not buying with somebody that I probably can't find 2 to 5 people to tell me that they bought with them and they had a good experience. Now, that's just me. Unless it's somebody I know personally who just started a company and I want to just show them support. Now, we can't sit up here and look at us as entrepreneurs. I can't sit up here and be like, hey, I don't align with what you got going on, so I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to give you the money, blah, 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 blah. Or I'm going to pay for something, and then I'm going to complain about the process, because that's what I've seen. It's like, I've already known that this person tweets this way, or this person has posted this way, or this person believes in this in X, Y, and Z, but yet you went and you gave them your money, and now you're still complaining about this person. That's not how you go about it. But me personally, if I see a corporate person or company, what have you, doing these things, I'm just going to shut that shit like immediately. It's just like, no, I don't have to shop with you. I don't have to deal with you. I don't have to go. I don't have to do all these things. And I compared that to us, to some of us that are now supporting Black businesses, because they are being harder on us. if that makes sense. Like, why are we our worst enemies? Why are we always pointing out the fault in our community when we already have, like, we're already fighting the world? You know what I'm saying? Like, like, yeah, you might not have liked how somebody communicated with you about customer service, because some of our businesses are horrible with customer service. But the thing about it is that person probably wasn't trained in that. That person probably has never come across that type of experience in that. So here it is. This is the learning lesson for you as a customer and this person as a business owner, where you can help them better understand how they could have helped you along in that situation. But if I'm talking to a corporate company, you know better. Like,
period.
And I mean, I just have more grace with small businesses in general because you have less staff. You are working with less resources. And I think the problem with Twitter is we want to bombard small Black businesses with a lot of business and then act shocked and dismayed when they can't handle the new incoming customers. And I mean, that's just natural. Like, I had my roommate from freshman year bought a t-shirt on my website. My t-shirts are set up like I don't buy the t-shirts in advance. They're print on demand. So you order it, that's when they print it. But because of COVID and stuff, and I never had to check on it in the past because it's just set up automatic. Like, they order the t-shirt, it pays out of my account, they ship it, everything is smooth. She ordered this t-shirt like a month ago, and she hit me up last night and was like, hey, just checking up on my t-shirt. And I'm like, oh shit, like, this isn't how this works. So when I go to my supplier and everything, I see, like, it's what everyone is suffering with right now, COVID backups. And I mean, I reached out to her and I was like, I'm sorry, here's what's happening. I can refund you your money if you want to. Like, it's no big deal. And my plan was like, if she wanted a refund, I was going to refund her money. And then when everything was back up, I was just going to send her the t-shirt for free. But I figured that's what it was. And I understand. So no worries. And a lot of times it's just communication. I have worked in places where I have had to do customer service before. So I get that as a small business owner. A lot of these people don't, and they need to.
I think it's just the they get a rise out of being messy, being reactionary, being just utterly ridiculous. You know,
Don't get me started on that. Because I can't stand it. You handle that off of social media. Now, if that person brings it to social media, you handle them with grace. Watch your mouth, because that's a reflection of your entire business and company. Okay, if you don't know, if you can't say nothing, hell, come find me on Twitter and send me the message, and I'll tell you how to respond.
Exactly.
But it's just like small businesses don't have that structure, like he was saying. Like they just don't. But yet. But
it's usually you doing everything. Let's be honest.
And then when we find about these corporate companies and what they're doing, and it's not aligning with their values and all of that they keep telling us, or these initiatives that they have for us and things like that, I'm still not supporting. Like, I'm gonna keep my Gmail account because that's all I got. But if I find another email company, best believe.
No, and I think that is like we really have to figure out, like, what do you do when Comcast, who is my internet service provider, like, I saw a tweet today and it was like, I want us to imagine organizing outside of doing a march on Washington. And I think that's where we're stuck. We're so stuck in marching that we aren't doing the organizing to say, Comcast, you have this many Black ass customers. And you are supporting legislation that goes against our existence. And we are holding, we don't have the organizing that's holding people accountable in that way. And
I mean, adults period don't like accountability. I mean, we see that on the timeline. So we don't even hold our own people accountable. So how are we going to hold corporations accountable?
But that's where the word organizing comes in. Like, how are we organizing to do that? Because what Kia just brought up is it's all about data. When you come to them with numbers and shit, I've learned this solely just following Angela Benton on social media. This woman
The numbers, yeah.
Single-handedly, she's the founder and CEO of Streamlytics. She's working with Issa Rae is one of her investors. This woman single-handedly is creating like all type of just ways for us to educate ourselves on data privacy laws, just these companies with numbers and how you communicate and how you protect your data, like your numbers. How do you protect that? What does that mean to you as a Black person? Because let's keep it real, we move shit. Period. You might not know that it started with us, but 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, it's us.
Send me her.
I sure will.
So I can.
She goes in, and it's down to like where she can tell you, like with each corporation and people that are like in like the VC field, like, you know, those venture capitalists and people like that, where they're spending money, why they're spending money a certain way. And then she can tell you how we're spending money, why we're spending the money a certain way. And that's what we need. That's a form of protest that if we're going to be 100, we randomly picking, like, why was July 7th the day that we were supposed to be supporting our Black people when we should have been doing that July 4th? Like,
no, and here's the thing that has bothered me about all these memes that are not connected to organizations that have gone viral about who we should support and when we should boycott. Let me back this up. There doesn't appear to be real organizing or goals behind it. It seems to be something that people are putting out to get some movement on social media. Because here's the reality. I don't want supporting Black businesses to be a trend or to be something that we do.
Like we don't want finding Breonna Taylor's killers. We don't want that to be a meme. Connie has said this consistently, and every time I see Connie post it,
like this should be a part of our culture. It should be our way of life, and you should not need a meme to tell you to support Black businesses on a certain day. Like, with that said, I don't think we understand how long the Montgomery bus boycott was, because listen, not shopping at Target and Walmart for one day is not going to
it's not going to make a dent.
No, because the next day you still ordering or walking into the store and getting everything you want. Like,
but it seems so like, is there? I don't want to say a leader. I don't think there needs to just be like.
No. So I have some knowledge of this because of like my previous job was an advocacy organization, and there are lots of organizations out there. I think one thing that we have to do is we have to encourage our folks to find a political home, which is somewhere where we are rested and we are invested and we are supporting, and who we're showing up for when they are organizing. And I have been working on that myself because, like, I follow a lot of organizations, but I can't say that I have a political home. So, like, where is my political home going to be where I am aligned with your values, I am aligned with the work that you're doing in my community, and I am showing up. I'm reading your emails. I'm showing up when you're calling me to protest, and I am putting my money in your pockets financially so that you can move this legislation. And I can think of organizations in Georgia, like, where I think people should show up for. But I think that's the first thing. We have to find people have power, and our power is often stronger than the money that we think runs the world, because there are more of us than there is people with money. But to find that political home and support them. And from Twitter alone, I just think that I'm doing this Andrew thing and my everywhere. Andrew Cardwell. If you know, you know. If you don't.
On a side note, I'm gonna get me a bullhorn and go find Kelly when she's speaking.
So I think it's really, from a Twitter perspective, we are so anti-leadership and anti-someone else telling us that I think that also complicates it.
Well, and it's also that everybody is trying to be the one.
for their own personal
instead
power
instead of being the sum.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have to be the one. Like, and I've talked to Connie about this because I've done a lot in this industry, the sports media industry, that a lot of people really don't actually understand how much work I have done. And that's okay, because I'm not one to be like, let me toot my horn, let me put this out there, let me show you who I helped out, or show you what I did, whatever. But you have people in our community, more than enough, of course, that if it ain't them doing it, they don't want to support it. Or if it ain't somebody that they know doing it, they don't want to support it. Versus, okay, well, why don't you just join up with somebody else that's doing it? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you figure out what your thing is? Because everybody is not going to be the leader. Now I feel like back in those days, we needed one person to be the face. We needed Rosa Parks to be the face, although there were other people who got pulled off the bus, before her. We needed, Martin Luther King to do what he did. We needed Malcolm to do what he did, and those are like centered figures. I just feel like in this time and age, especially if we look around, any and everybody can be that. But the thing is how many people do you have around you that supports you in that? Are you moving together towards something versus just you standing up on a podium talking yourself to death and it's just you? I'm gonna give credit to 4 young people. I don't remember all their names, but I remember one. I think her name was Maze. Could be wrong. Jackson something. But in Jackson, Mississippi, it took 4.
Oh yeah, young ladies. Yes, right. Yes.
It took 4 of them. Okay, I think it was actually 2 young ladies and two guys, but I think there were other women that were assisting. But it took them to really be like, hey, we're all gonna come together and we're gonna. It's Maisie Brown. There it is, Maisie Brown. This young lady literally helped organize this. Now, all of them got credit. All of them were able to stand up and do what they do. But most of them are high school students. Most of them were like they just graduated from high school when they get ready to go off to college, because Macy is getting ready to go off to North Carolina A&T. But here's the thing. It took them to realize, okay, I can't just do this by myself. I know my friend over here who can organize North Mississippi. I know somebody down in South Mississippi that can do this and blah, blah, blah. And look at what the hell they did in Mississippi single-handedly. They ended up getting the Confederate flag taken down, not only just because the SEC conference of the NC2A decided to tell the state of Mississippi to play in Mississippi or bring any money to Mississippi if they didn't take that flag down, but it took them 4 kids to do that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if the younger generation can get that, then I'm wondering where our generation ain't really all that lost. It's just most of us, we have way more responsibilities. That's number 1. Number 2, we all get to a point where it's just like you said, especially because if you look at the age demographic on Twitter, who don't want to deal with accountability and blah, blah, blah. That's mostly people our age. Let's be real. And to me, it's just like, okay, if we can't figure it out, then we've got to groom these kids to understand what that looks like.
So here's the thing. Because we talked about like the absence of federal and state leadership on COVID. And what we're learning is that when corporations or other business organizations step in and say, oh, we're not bringing money to your state, if you have hate symbols as your state flag, then shit starts changing.
Right. And money talks. They understand money.
So that's a whole theory of change thing. But so and I mean, that's the thing. We need someone to step up and say, like, if the Washington Redskins could say, oh yeah, we're gonna review this. Which, do y'all want to talk about that story that came out about the Washington?
Yeah, I didn't read it. It was behind a paywall. You mean the women, 15 women?
So, and here's the thing. I saw Twitter talking about it all day today.
We can talk about it because we can also talk about how Black Sports Online posted this story, but that man didn't want to have to deal with the fact that we was talking about him on Surviving BSO. But okay.
Go ahead. This is so much because I didn't know if y'all wanted to go to the BSO in the Black Sports.
Look, it's all right there. Look.
So, and here's the thing. Woo! Okay. So here's the thing. I saw Twitter all day, like, where's the story? What's the story? And then I saw the story and I was like, duh, of course women were sexually harassed at a sports organization. Like honestly, I didn't even want to click the link to read it because I was just like, duh, like that's a given. But so let's talk more about Black Sports Online shared this story, but didn't want to deal with the fact that he had been accused of doing the same thing.
Sweetheart, right now, one of the young ladies who started #SurviveandBSO, she's the news editor for Revolt TV. Her name is Tamitha. She posted it, and she said, "At BSO got some nerve," and he really does have some nerve. And the screenshot that she has, which I'm sure she found, is where he had broke news. You know, there was like a video details on Tory Lanez shooting Megan Thee Stallion, but at the bottom of it, it says 15 female ex-Redskin employees claim sexual harassment at the job. Here are the text messages. Sir, this young lady who just posted this has text messages of the bullshit you did. Then we have
what was that? What organization came out? Was that in NAJ? Oh, what was that?
NABJ.
Yes, they even came out and made a statement against Roberts. So
because it's like, it's one thing like where you sit up here and you send out this fake apology, and then you call people like me and Sheena and Vashti Hurts, and you know, you call some of us that have sat up here and voiced our feelings and voiced what our experiences were, because again, my experience wasn't as bad as Tamitha's and Vashti's, Sheena's, but the point is like it could have been. This is where it was headed. But for most women, and this is something that is rarely talked about as well, for most women who work in sports that aren't necessarily married, they're not tried as bad like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you're safe because you're married, so I'm just gonna let the jokes fly. Well, no, that ain't how that works. You know what I'm saying? If I was single, you can catch these hands. But the reality of it is that these environments do exist, but there are women who are shamed or who do automatically also think, because we're one of the few in our industry. So whomever, what organization we're working with, even if we created our own, if we're doing this on our own, you damn sure gotta believe that we gotta watch who we talking to. We gotta watch what we're doing. We gotta watch what we say. We gotta watch what we wear. We gotta watch how our hair looks. All of these things. And we don't have the luxury of a network or an organization like ESPN to support us or be behind us. But then you gotta look at where you have these organizations where people are now talking against these organizations, like the teams or ESPN or all these other networks and things like that. So to me, it was just like, for people like me and Vashti Hurt, who is over Carolina Blitz, she covers like Charlotte Panthers and Carolina Panthers and all of them. My thing is like, we have our own platforms. So what you gonna do to us? Honestly, because we have the internet, we have access, and we have relationships that we have built with people for years. Doing it since 2011, if we're gonna be honest. My company became what it was in 2013. But the thing about it is like, other women aren't protected like that. They don't have that foundation. So for him to have the audacity to kind of like that was a story you just didn't need to touch today. Sorry. Like stay on the fact that the Redskins still ain't told us what their new name is, because I'm waiting for that story. What's your new name? Because y'all say y'all gonna change it, and we want to know what your new name is. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need to know what's going on with these women in this organization. I'm not sweeping over that. But for Black Sports Online, that wasn't something for him to cover. That wasn't something for him to post up if he wasn't going to sit up here and walk away from his company.
Okay.
It's so many damn layers. It's just
so like, I saw a tweet a while ago, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Who knows? Time is like a figment of our imagination these days. But the tweet said that women sports journalists should not cover male sports.
Oh, that man, I know exactly who you talking about.
Oh, because they just want to be groupies, so they should just cover women's sports anyway, and not try to get in the locker room with men.
most of the women that I have been in contact with in this industry that cover sports, I don't care what sport it is, they know way more about 70, 75%. I'll even put it up to 80% of the men that work in this industry. It's going to be 100. And they have the skill set. They have the education. Like some of these women have certifications, bro. Like, sir, what you working with?
I have never seen a sports groupie like a man. So, like, for him to call women groupies, like, rest in peace, Kobe. But did you see the men groupies?
They are the biggest groupies. It doesn't sports, hip hop, don't matter.
Yes.
Look, what is it that eToro says all the time? Connie,
wait, hold on. Both of y'all were talking at the same time and it got muddled.
So
what is it?
At Picture Man, who is the managing editor at the Atlanta Voice now, he says this consistently, and it's something that I used to just laugh at, but now it's like, oh, that's real. He said that dick riding is not a form of transportation. And if you think about it, we live in a city where that's all we see. Most of these men are flashy, or they do what they do because they want the validation from another male or from younger men or what have you. And if we're gonna be real, this applies in sports. You have fans who want validation from other people because they have these little random ass outtakes. Like, dude, you really woke up and thought to jump on Twitter to say some shit like that.
It was so wild. So wild to me.
Oh my gosh, point me to the tweet, please, somebody, please.
I'm gonna try to find it. It's probably so scary, but
I blocked whoever it was. I know I did. I was like, no, block.
And I feel like he was a wannabe sports journalist who said that.
Exactly. And then there was another young man who said, and I remember this vividly because it happened with the surviving, because all of these Black women were pointing out their stories, and there was even a white male who wrote for Black Sports Online, and he shared his experience, but it was more on like the financial side of things. But this dude literally was like, if the guy from Black Sports Online said he wasn't paying y'all, then why was y'all doing it anyway? Like, you should have expected, whatever he was gonna say to you or do whatever. And then he was like, anyway, I don't think that women should be covering. He was like, women should be covering women's sports, men should be covering male sports. We went in on him. We sure did.
As you should.
And then I blocked him because ain't nobody got time.
Exactly. So I have a non-NBA question for y'all.
Okay.
My former boo, Cam Newton, is playing for the MAGA team.
Come on, Queen.
How do y'all feel about that?
I don't like.
Connie don't care because Connie don't care about the NFL.
I put it like this. I think the way for him to be the caliber player that he is, and for his contract only to be $1 million, I think that's disrespectful. I think the way that Carolina handled the situation was disrespectful.
Oh, maybe.
So, I mean, him playing for MAGA, good luck, Cam. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work.
Right. Well,
the type of player that he is and the type of person that he is and his personality, I don't know if it's going to work.
And that's the think pieces that's coming out of Boston right now. Is really mostly like, will Belichick be able to control him and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, in my opinion, even if this is a test to see if he can get through this 1 year with them, don't throw that shit out the window, in my opinion, because Cam is going to do Cam. That's number one. Whether you try to control him on the field, off the field, he's going to be who he is, and he's going to give us a show. He's going to wear what he wants to wear. He's going to be who he is, and let him do that. That's what, like, to me, this is a league. This is a professional league. These are professional players. You hire him to do a job. As long as he shows up to do that job and he is on time, he ain't beating on nobody. He ain't out here talking shit crazily to nobody. Like, he ain't being homophobic, transphobic, none of that shit. Like, if he's showing up doing what he's supposed to do, and he telling y'all don't pick the wrong one, let him do that. Okay?
I think this is where the NFL can learn from the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
How that they give their players room to be themselves. They give players
they have the freedom to be.
Right. Which is really interesting because remember the whole Allen Iverson and the NBA dress code?
Yes.
So it's really interesting that the NBA has gotten to this point.
But they have a different commissioner.
Yes, yes. I understand.
Right.
You know,
and what bothers me is like, will he be able to control Cam Newton? Why are we trying to control grown-ass men?
I heard nobody say
control the white quarterback.
Nobody say about Belichick controlling Tom Brady, and his ass threw a phone in a blender. Okay, let's start there. A grown-ass man put his phone in the blender to hide some text messages that was gonna prove that they was cheating and doing some crazy shit over there. Okay, that's number one. Then two, you gotta also think about. Let's remember. Rest in peace, Aaron Hernandez. Like you wasn't able to control his ass, and I'm guaranteeing you, I know he know that he was up to some shit or was doing some crazy stuff. So why?
I'm trying to think back to the documentary. Didn't Aaron Hernandez come to Belichick for like help and asking him for help with his situation?
He went to him, and when he was in college at the University of Florida, he went to Urban Meyer. Hence why I don't like Urban Meyer.
So, and here we are again with Black people's bodies on the line for a check without any help or support or care for their well-being.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So, like I said, I think I said it in a tweet to Connie or one of y'all, somebody in particular, where I felt like, no, it was to Sheena. I think Sheena or Vashti posted it. And where Cam was explaining how he's watching how players in his position are older than him, but they're making more money than him.
Not even
on his level. You know what I'm saying? And he hit that auntie, okay. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? He hit that
full auntie on that.
Real. That's real. Cam, as much as I probably didn't like his situation when he was in college, and I used to call him Scam Newton. Because his family scammed the shit out of Mississippi State. Like, let's just be 100 about it. And they got
or did they just do what everyone does?
They did what everyone does, but it was called out. So I call it a scam. When we know about it, it's a scam. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's public, it's a scam. You know what I'm saying? It's a scam, So I'm still not but I can get over what he's gone through to transform an entire team in their organization. Like Carolina, like you could have had a ring. Like shut up twice. But the fact that you threw him out, his situation to me, and a lot of people may not agree with me because of the player I'm going to introduce, but his situation to me was similar to what the Colts did to Peyton Manning. They out when he was hurt, down and out. And when they sent him off to Denver, shortly thereafter, he gets a ring at Denver. I was at that game, the game before the Super Bowl. I was there. I know what this man did. I saw what he did, like live. This man still had he had it in him. And all he needed was for the team to support him and to be behind him. But here it is, you got Cam in the same situation. And that's why I need Cam to at least get them to the playoffs like they've been going, period. To like you can like get there. I
want them to win, but I don't want them to win.
Look, in my opinion, I'm like, hey, even if he do get a ring, I'm gonna need him go and get that ring and then decide to go somewhere else. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like don't stay with him. Like if you get that prize possession, which is that Super Bowl ring, carry your ass on somewhere else because they gave you a year to do that. And you did. So now you can go and demand whatever you want from anybody else.
Go where you want to go and be happy and work that team.
Because people keep doubting him. And for our young Black men, like it's just, we support them to the end of the road. We really do as Black women. But it's like, it's so disheartening to be working in the industry where like we see the effects of how they're disrespected, how they're treated, how they're not given chance after chance after chance. But their white counterparts,
yeah.
crickets.
They
So
do
to
what
me,
they want. Yeah.
I need him to be successful. Like, let's be, because he's putting in the work. His off the field issues, especially with this new baby mama and shit, that ain't got nothing to do
So
with it.
I was upset that y'all didn't tell me about his Father's Day message where he introduced these
All the babies,
that he has now.
7.
I was in there kind of like,
First of
where
all,
did this baby come
he's
from?
from Atlanta. He's from Atlanta. And we don't know nothing about these Atlanta Negroes. They got some kids somewhere.
And then I read like the second baby mama is living over his house, over his cigar club.
Yep, he is. Sure is.
A man.
Woo. Gotta love Atlanta.
Gotta love
there
Atlanta.
Thing that I did not ask y'all that you wish I had asked.
Now, if I could just go back as far as like the leadership for the NBA, and I think a lot of maybe players also maybe are following LeBron, because LeBron, when they interviewed him, and he said that he didn't have a thought in his mind not to play. So he's like the leader, right? So they're following the leader.
But then you have Kyrie who is like, I ain't doing it.
Huh?
But then you have Kyrie that's like, I ain't doing it.
Right.
Everybody was a picture of like LeBron and Kyrie when they played together, where Kyrie was just like ignoring LeBron when he was talking to him or something. Like that just came to mind when y'all were talking about that, and I don't know, maybe I made up that picture in my mind, but
yeah, I mean, if LeBron, they say they were waiting on LeBron, and LeBron said we playing, so they playing, and I guess they playing.
Would you bring your kids in the bubble?
No.
Say it again.
Would you bring your kids in the bubble with you?
No.
Oh, my whole family coming with me. So I'm already in a personal situation with COVID, and I think I shared this already on Twitter, where I was upset earlier today. My oldest son tested positive. And he got tested the week, I think it was like around the first week going into the second week while we were there, he had to get tested. And then like his whole family there got tested, and I was tested before I came. So I came in negative. Everybody else in the house was negative, but his test results came back positive, and we just found out today. Now, mind you, that was 3 or 4 weeks ago. Okay, so whatever he was going through, or symptoms or whatever, he had no symptoms. Let's start there. He had no symptoms. Everybody else was still negative. So now everybody has to go back again, because now that we know about this positive, everybody has to go get tested. So me and Christopher got tested anyway today without even knowing this news or whatever. But to make a long story short, I had somebody immediately jump in my DMs. Like, and here's the thing, you can't, you can't do that to me, because I didn't talk about nobody else contracting it. I didn't make fun of nobody else contracting it. I didn't talk shit about anybody else that might have contracted or whatever. This person immediately jumped in my DMs and was like, so I bet you regret going to Florida now, because you should have known better. And some of us were like, be careful and take care of yourself, because it's Florida. And I had to look at it, because I was like, first of all, I don't follow you. That's number one.
Wait. This is somebody who
I don't even know. Didn't even know that they followed me. You just made your presence known. Okay. You're talking to me. And the thing about it is if you follow me, my kids are my everything. Okay. Mm-hmm. My thing is if you're going to sit up here and publicly shame me, well, privately, because it was a DM, you're going to privately shame me for going to go see my child that I have not seen in over a year before all of this started. You're a sick person. You know what I'm saying? And I talk about this. I share this. So to me, it's just like, I don't see myself telling my family, like, no, you can't come. Because, no, you got to come to this bubble with me. Like, I'm sorry. I might have to have like a suite to your room, because y'all gonna be over here and I'm gonna be over here. But like, I can't, I wouldn't be able to be without being around my kids for like 7 weeks or whatever, how many weeks it is. Like, no.
But see, I would risk myself, but I wouldn't risk other people.
I get that.
Yeah. I think that's the decision. Like, yeah.
And then too, I got family in Florida, so I would have been able to let them go on over there, go on to family. You know what I'm saying? I feel better because we all in the same state. You know what I'm saying? I can look at it like that.
But good luck to Candace and her daughter. You know.
Yeah.
Man, listen, and I know how she is about her daughter too, Candace Parker. She's like that's her everything. You know what I'm saying? So,
and she said like this is non-negotiable. If I come, she comes.
Right.
I did a good job. Like straight out of college, I was a tutor at this 2-year college, community college, and I didn't have childcare, so I brought my kid with me, and I was just young and naive enough when they were like, "Oh, you can't do that," and I was like, "Oh, well, I can't work this job if my kid can't." Like, this is a non-negotiable to me. And like, my kid, he was a good kid. He just sat in the corner of the room and played on the computer all day. He wasn't bothering. So I was like, if this, I was like, I don't have childcare. If I can't do this, then I'm just gonna have to part ways now. And they shut the fuck up, and they didn't say anything about him coming. Right. And I mean, that was that. So I get the like, this is non-negotiable.
Right. Well, I just feel like
works out with this situation.
Yes.
And the NBA can be, you know, the leader, right? Or they can be the blueprint, the standard for how to deal with sports going forward. But to do it in a respectful, I guess, humane way as possible, you know.
Right. I mean, opinions and thoughts aside, like I agree with Connie. I just feel like I think I'm praying for them in every league that's open and reopening and restarting and all of that. Like, you know, if NASCAR can figure it out, I feel like everybody else should be able to figure out something. Or but to me, it's just like, I just want everybody to be safe. And then beyond that, I also want to just point out, like, I'll probably post these names later on because I've already posted someone, but I'll definitely post some of the Black voices in NBA and WNBA that are cranking out stories about the league that we need to kind of amplify and share their stories as much as we can. I know a lot of times I check out of Twitter and I don't be on Twitter for hours or even days. But when I come back, I'm like on a retweeting spree because these people are posting these stories and they're sharing these stories, and their voices matter just as well as somebody from Deadspin or
Complex
Report, whomever. And then, you know, to me, it's just, I feel like also too, it's kind of my duty, considering that Fans Favorite Fan isn't doing a lot. It's like to kind of just amplify everybody else that's doing something, especially our Black voices. So I'll definitely do like a big, you know, thread or what have you, just for like NBA writers and WNBA writers. And most of these people are independent. So that's another reason why I'm doing that as well. Not that I have it against anybody that writes for another company or network or even works for ESPN or these big networks, but I feel the struggle with the independent writers, you know, and I understand where they're coming from. And I just feel like that's important because they're bringing different perspectives to these bubble and wobble stories, because the bubble version of WNBA is called the wobble. And that was coined, honestly, I feel like that was coined by Ari Ivory, who is over, she works with Bleacher Report, but she created Highlight Her, and it's always highlighted women's sports. And she is a young Black woman who literally she voices how she feels about any and everything, and I love her how she takes that freedom and she just, you know, elevates her platform. So for her and the other line of people that I'll share on Twitter in a few minutes, I'll definitely, you know, share them just because I feel like they're very important during this time, because I feel like there are certain people that aren't, everybody's covering the basics, right? The presentations that come out, the information that they're getting and regurgitating the same thing. But then there are Black voices who are like finding creative ways to either interview these players while they're in the bubble, talk to them about what their experiences are, getting them to really be honest. Like, they're like Skylar Diggins told somebody, like, I'm tired of y'all asking me how exhausting it is to be a Black woman in America. It is like, but ask me something else. Ask me what could change that. Like, talk to us about all of these other things. So that matters. It's especially when you have the WNBA who says that each team is sharing their bubble content with certain outlets, and none of those outlets are Black owned.
Woo! Do me a favor. email me that list so I can include it in the show notes for the
will.
podcast. And
and it left out. And the thing about it was, is it only focused in on like sports media companies, something like where like a fan's favorite fan had been in there for the drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it would have looked like that. But even if you can't find a black owned, which I find it very hard to believe, a black owned sports media company, right? They could have easily found journalists that cover these teams, you know, specifically. So you could have had a mainstream media company and a black journalist that covers them, right? Or black and brown journalist that covers them. Like, let them team up on the content that they're sharing out of the bubble or the wobble. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see that. And I just, I think that's the other aspect of it, like looking at the media coverage, looking at the people that are sharing these stories, that are telling us this information. Because like you said, you asked us something about the staff. We can't tell you nothing about the staff because ain't nobody wrote about that.
Right.
And that is a question that came to my mind, because even when we talk about people returning to schools, everyone talks about the students and the teachers. No one's talking about the cafeteria staff, the custodian staff who's responsible for cleaning. The people who are the adults. And we want to say, oh, kids aren't that affected. These kids are in contact with adults. These kids have to come back home into intergenerational households, into intergenerational communities. We're not being honest with ourselves about the people who are most marginalized. And that's something that I've had to train myself to do. Like, who is the most marginalized person in this story, and how are they affected by this? Because we love a privileged viewpoint, and, we just want to sit in that spot. But who is the hardest affected by this, and how does it help, harm, or affect their lives at all?
Right.
Yeah.
One more thing. I also want to shout out to these student athletes that are coming out of high school, committing to HBCUs.
Yes.
Major shouts out to them, because you are following the steps of the Jerry Rices and Steve McNairs and whoever else I'm leaving out. Like, those are the two that really matter to me because they're from Mississippi. But anyway, but shouts out to them, and shouts out to HBCU Game Day, who has always been upfront about covering sports. And they are literally, like, to me, they are the black, if not better, ESPN of sports. Like, their coverage doesn't just extend, anything that's a meme or bands. Like, they don't focus in on HBCU bands. They actually focus in on players, the history, where this came from, all of these things. And shouts out to Stephen Gaither, who created HBCU Game Day. And to me, what they're doing, as well as the other HBCU media outlets are now doing and have been doing, is they're really driving these athletes to think about coming towards HBCUs, and how them committing and physically, like, coming through on those commitments on signing day and showing up on campus either during the summer for training camp or practice or in the fall. Like, it matters, because if they start doing this, then we'll have a sea of athletes that will begin to start coming to HBCUs, and it'll turn this thing, because then they're going to need they're going to need black media, because we're the ones that's there consistently. We're the ones that knows their voices. You can't cut us out then. And then outside of that, wherever you go, ESPN is coming. A camera is coming, period. I don't want to hear somebody say that they're not coming. That's bullshit. If you plan, they're coming. Scouts will find out who you are, and they will come see you play, period. So,
I have a controversial question.
Go ahead.
Do you think HBCU coaches can respect these kids as human beings better than these D1 and PWI coaches are? Or do you think this is going to be black folks treating black kids the same way that they've been treated, as bodies for their game?
I think they're going to treat them better. And here's why I say that. Let's be real. Let's be real from an academic standpoint. These HBCU coaches are better fit to help them make the transition into college, because most of their players probably didn't get the grade to go to a D1 school. Let's start there. Because a lot of times, if you look at some of these D1 players who end up fucking up at a D1 school, they go, or they end up flunking out of classes, they end up probably coming to an HBCU.
Yeah.
Or a coach school. Let's be real. So if you got to come down to an environment that would have already welcomed you, why you didn't come here in the first place?
Yeah.
So let's start there. Then you have coaches like Moten at NCCU, North Carolina Central. Yes, North Carolina Central, who literally that's what he preaches every single day. He is like, look, I played sports. I played in the league. I've done all of these things that you're trying to do. I can coach you from that standpoint. And that's the thing. They forget that most of these HBCU coaches do have that experience. So who else better to learn it from one-on-one? Not somebody where you technically got to make an appointment to get to. Not somebody that you got to figure out how you going to get face-to-face time with them. Why not go somewhere where it's an open door? I've seen it with all of these HBCU coaches, from football to tennis to track to basketball. They are literally there for these players. And if they and a lot of times, I'm gonna be real, I've met one or two coaches who might not have had the resources to get their players access to certain things, but they found it. And to me, that's more important than saying, oh, well, we can't do X, Y, and Z, or we can't figure that out, versus, you know, give me a couple of days. Give me a week to work on that. And I got you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, in this day and time, if we're going to be real from a recruiting standpoint, you don't need no coach to do that shit for you. You can sit up here and hire your own videographer to record your games, record you in practice, record your workouts.
You can hire your friend to do it. Your friend to do it, who would probably be better than anyone who the coach got. Like, the free content that these kids are putting on the internet, the interweb.
Yes.
And you should give you plenty of music to use for your highlight reel.
That's
so as far as I'm concerned, it helps the program. And yes, they want to have the media looks. They want to have these media checks. They want to have more. Damn it, if we had more HBCU alum to donate, and look, this is coming from somebody that went to a PWI, but my first college that I went to was Fort Valley State, and to this day, I still contribute to Fort Valley State consistently, okay?
That's what my cousin did.
But the thing about it is if we could get more of our HBCU alum to contribute, you would have more facilities. You would have more things to offer these athletes. That would be for recruitment.
Shout out to my family. I actually realized I like live in a bubble and I don't always recognize it. I'm a 5th generation HBCU student.
That's dope.
As being Black and 5th generation college student, that's like, damn.
Well, I know who I rep, so nice.
Cameron almost broke the HBCU tradition, and he was going to transfer to Connie's alma mater. But he decided at the last minute he was going to stay where he is. So, yeah, we own 6 generations of straight HBCU graduates here. So.
And that's dope to me. That's so dope to me. And, I just, in certain situations, it doesn't work out. Certain situations, it do. And I just, we're all Black. So, I mean, if we can lend support to these athletes and these other students who want to go to HBCUs and may not have the resources or the access or something that they need, like, we need to figure out how we can get that to them legally, because that can also come back on them later on. So we have to watch that. And that's another thing. Like, we need more reporting on what it looks like, on what you can and cannot give to these student athletes, because we don't need that to be at HBCUs, because those are the schools that they're going to look at first, especially when you get big recruits going there. They'll look at the HBCUs first and find something wrong,
and they will get the consequences.
They'll wait 2 or 3 years later and then be like, oh, you remember when such and such committed to y'all and y'all did blah blah? Here we go. We got all this right here. Bullshit. So we need to do this right. We need to be prepared for that. So that's something that's not really talked about, because in the beginning it was all like, oh, that's BS. None of these top recruits are gonna commit to HBCUs. Well,
And it started happening.
And I also appreciate them going to the G League and skipping and dealing with the NCAA.
Yes.
Like, I enjoy
so
the NCAA getting screwed. Like,
oh my God, I'm so glad you brought up the G League. Hold on. Where's that girl? Oh my God, girl, you brought up the G League, honey, because Atlanta is always first with it, in my opinion.
Miller.
Shout out to Corey Miller,
yes,
who became general manager of the CP, the College Park Skyhawks, which is the G League team of the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh.
Black woman.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, honey. I mean, moves are being made, but again, like, I just feel like if we pay attention to what's happening with the NBA, it's going to dictate what happens with the other leagues in general.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like the NFL is nowhere near prepared as the NBA.
At all.
God bless.
I'll drink to that.
So what we have learned today is yay HBCUs, people over profits, and there was something else I was going to say that I completely forgot. Oh, make sure that your values align with your politics.
Yes,
come on.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today for today's episode of The Real Drunk Show. Go to realdrunkshow.com and you can find all of our social media. You can find links to Connie and Dawn's social media, and you can also find links to our podcast and everywhere we are. Y'all have a great night. Stay safe, and we will see you again soon. Bye.
The bubble.